So Nando v Movies has done this before, but sadly, we missed out on the previous year's collabs. Even though we were technically active during a couple of them, we just weren't aware. But we shan't miss it again. We are Comic Romance, and this is one musical scene. As I mentioned, Nando v Movies is getting a bunch of YouTubers together to talk about the importance of music in a movie or show where it played an impactful role. All the videos will be included in a playlist on the channel under the title I mentioned earlier, One Musical Scene. Most of the others on the list are doing movie music, even down to a fun video about SpongeBob's Goofy Goober song. The link to the list will be in the description, by the way, although realistically I'm kinda hoping you found us through that list. Nevertheless, here at ComRom, that's what we call ourselves, we talk about movies, but far more often we talk about shows. More specifically, we talk nerdy shows. Like DC and Marvel nerdy, not like Big Bang Theory nerdy. The moniker, Comic Romance, stems from us wanting to share our love of comics and other nerdy properties, while sharing our love of the sip. Now, most shows have between 6 and 24 episodes in a season, so picking one song from that would be quite the task, unless we talk opening theme songs. In a time when all TV show theme songs just leaned hard on the angsty rock ballad or straight up rock instrumentals, this one, well, it really didn't seem any different. I mean, we had the cover of How Soon Is Now done by Love Spit Love, more commonly known as the theme song to Charmed. I'm the sun and the air. Rescue Me had Come On by the Von Bondies. I mean, everyone was doing it. Personally, I blame Judd Apatow and the cult hit Freaks and Geeks. Bad Reputation just did it for that show. Then the folks who that show resonated with continued the trend, and that led us to Save Me by Remy Zero being selected as the opening theme to Smallville. The song itself is left open to interpretation, as with all art, so when looking at it through a particular lens, like say, the nerdy lens of a YouTuber who looks way too hard at details intended or accidental, you'll find something paramount. This song set the scene for a series that would go on to save comics. That's right, the thumbnail wasn't just clickbait. I'm sticking to this wild premise, so bear with me. Now, before anyone can say it, I know, actually, X-Men came out in the summer 2000 and Smallville didn't air until October of 01. I know, hop off my for a second, I'm getting there. The X-Men franchise, like the other movies put out before Marvel Studios was a thing, they weren't really made with the same reverence to the source material that they show today. Most of the Marvel properties were owned by other random studios who were just trying to make a quick buck. Because of this fact, they often strayed from the comics in one major way that I feel harmed them almost as much as crappily telling the Phoenix story 3 different ways. Yes, it was 3 different ways, count it. They didn't get the spectacle right. They either shied away from it entirely, criticizing it for being ludicrous.
You actually go outside in these things? What would you prefer? Yellow spandex?
Or they completely jumped the shark on it and made Adam West's Batman look gritty.
Good night.
Comic books are grandiose and colorful and eccentric, and when an adaptation is done right, it can encapsulate all of that without making us cringe like whoever casted Arnold for Mr. Freeze should have.
Louder, come on, sing!
Smallville bridged the gap for fans between they can't do that, it'll look silly, and these costumes aren't accurate enough. Now granted, the main character didn't wear the costume folks expected from him the entire series. It still worked, because as long as the show went on, we were in the in-between time. The moment he put the suit on, the show was supposed to end. And it did. This show brought about a lot of critics, but I would venture to say that it proved in its 10-year run that the world was ready for more. And boy did we get it. So why are you trying to say it saved comic properties? Good question, commenter who I gave an annoying voice. As I mentioned before, Smallville set the stage for the resurgence of comic properties that we relish today. But there were Marvel movies out before it. Wow, you are chatty today, but I'm glad you brought that up. Marvel, the comics company at the time, was going through bankruptcy and selling off the movie rights to its properties left, right, and center. The X-Men movie line that started before Smallville was just one of many put out by another studio, and as I said, they only had the purpose of making money. Cannot stress this enough. Not entirely caring about keeping the soul of the source material intact. I mean, it was a good movie, but when I think about what comic movies are now, it's not necessarily because of that line. Sometimes it's despite that line of movies, and you know which ones I'm talking about. On the other hand though, when we've let comic movies and shows just progressively go where they need to, they usually nail it. Like in the first 2 seasons of Flash. They didn't take him forever to get a decent suit or to use his code name, and things were going swimmingly for a time, and that That is all we're gonna say on that currently. But Flash was a part of the Arrowverse, and Arrow spawned because we needed something when Smallville left us and Birds of Prey let us down. Yes, that's right. Some of us still remember that there was an actual Birds of Prey show way before the movie. And while we're on the topic, that opener left a lot to be desired. So during a time when comic sales were at a record low, and comic movies were either too ashamed of the source material or too afraid to take themselves seriously, somebody saved the future of nerdy shows and movies. Similarly to how the 90s X-Men animated series music got us revved right the hell up for an explosion of awesome to hit our screens, so too did the wail of Remy Zero prepare us for the eventual saving of the nerdosphere, and we couldn't be happier. Now, if you've ever watched an episode of Smallville before, give this video a like. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any of our next nerdy leaps. Be sure to check out the other videos on this One Musical Scene playlist, which again is linked below. I know I've been enjoying them. Thank you to Nando V Movies for including us and creating this chance for YouTubers like ourselves to collaborate and share our love for the properties we're passionate about. Thank you for watching and commenting and sharing these weird and wonderful rants of ours. So until the next time that someone lightly prompts us to jump to all kinds of conclusions, I've been Antonio Wache, and this has been Comrom, where we do nerdy reviews with the occasional boost. Ooh, that's loco. That's loco.